Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Filmonik Podcast. I'm here at the Corner House Cinema in Manchester and I'm joined by Mark Withers. Hello. One of the regular filmmakers at Filmonik, and we're here just asking a few questions to see what his films are all about. So Mark, how did you kind of get into the whole filmmaking thing? Was it
How did I get into it? I don't know. I just from a very early age knew that I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. I guess when I got to 14, I realised how films were made, and from there decided that I could go to college, which a few years after leaving school I did get around to doing. And so it wasn't any wildly extravagant kind of way getting into it, just how most kids get into it. I wasn't born into it and the family weren't already in the industry or anything, so
just something that you enjoy doing and wanted to explore a little bit?
Yeah, it's the only passion that I've ever had. I have got really no other interests in anything. I'm quite anal.
So is it fair to say that you spend a lot of your time making films and it's kind of just the thing that you do? And
I'd like to spend more time, really. As much as I can, obviously, because they take so much time and money and additional people, unless you're an animator, who can sit in the bedroom doing it, which I'm not. I mean, I've done animation, but I'm not an animator. I require actors, 99% of the time. So that's probably that and money is what stops me from doing it more regularly. Otherwise, I'd make films as often. Well, I do make films all the time, full time, but not personal projects.
Sure.
Put it that way.
so I mean, of course, the way around that can be making sort of slightly lower budget films using family members and such, and which brings us neatly into the film one of the films that we're going to show on this podcast, My Mum the Wrestler.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that before we show that?
That came about really due to my stepdaughter Paige not knowing that I was a filmmaker but not understanding it, and she has a regular interest in films like most kids do. She watches the Disney stuff but has no concept of how they're made. So I just thought, to illustrate the basics at least of filmmaking, we could spend a day in the house just with the three of us, my mother and my wife, making this little film from a script that I'd written probably about. This was last February, and I'd written the script the previous Easter. Not really, with any intention of making it with the three of us in the house, but sure. It seemed like something that we could do, so that's how that initially came about.
Well, it's looked like good fun to make and certainly good fun to watch, so let's now check out My Mum the Wrestler.
My mum's a wrestler. I bet you're imagining a big fat lady, but she's not, although she says she is. I think she's too skinny. She used to be a model, but now she's too old, she says. She thinks her bum's too big, but I like it. She also thinks her boobies are too small, but my dad likes them. She gets these ideas sometimes, try new things. So now, she's a wrestler. Not that she's actually wrestled anyone yet, but she's been practicing. She wrestles me, she wrestles the dog, she wrestles her friends, she wrestles my dad, though I think he likes it sometimes. She practices her angry face, but only I can make it come out naturally. She started eating more for her and lifting weights. There's just one problem, not all Etsy. It happens sometimes. Even when she was having me, she fell asleep. And when I was conceived, whatever that is, she was asleep then too. Although my dad says this isn't true, that would never happen, so she isn't allowed to wrestle, except for in her genes. she's champion of the world.
That was a damn good film, Gareth. I would give that a family-friendly for 10.
It was very enjoyable. Obviously, that is like a kind of a quirky comedy, shall we say? Is this kind of synonymous with the sort of films that perhaps you make, or the films that you enjoy watching?
I very rarely watch comedy films because I find so few funny. There aren't many that I can think that really make me laugh. I think Stir Crazy in the early 80s I found funny, but if I watched it again now, maybe not.
Wouldn't have the same punch.
No, things I find funny are usually quite dark. I'm usually the one in the cinema that's laughing when nobody else is. But certainly in the last 5 years, humour's... Whenever I've done stuff that's supposed to be humorous, it's got a laugh, so there's been something subconsciously there that I'm able to pull off, because I don't find myself particularly funny in real life. But yeah, humour creeps in more and more for whatever reason.
So I mean, when you showed My Mum the Wrestler at Filmonik for the first time, you unfortunately got a Filmonik forfeit.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure most of the people watching this are aware with how the forfeit system works. But what did you get your forfeit for?
I think it was Filmonik 25 at the time, and I'd not put a number 25 on the end of the film.
See, that's always the one that catches people out.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I did, but I burnt 2 discs, and I sent one of the discs off for a potential job, and brought the wrong disc to Filmonik, so somebody got this strange one with the Filmonik thing at the end.
Well, there's a little bit of publicity for Filmonik at least,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
wherever that may have gone. So of course you have a forfeit, and the result of that is that you have to make a film that is decided by the audience. And what happened with that?
That was, they wanted me to make a sequel. That was my forfeit.
They obviously enjoyed the first one, then, if they wanted to see a second.
It went down really well. I mean, there was no way of knowing how well it would go down. I mean, I completed it and I thought it was okay. And then, yeah, they really liked. I mean, to be fair, My Mum the Wrestler's done the most for me out of all the films, and some of them I spent thousands of pounds on, you know, great length of time making. And this one cost me like 40 quid, and it took a day to shoot, and it's done ridiculously well.
So the film, the sequel film, which is called
My Dad Made a Seagull.
Made a Seagull.
Yeah.
And that kind of follows on the story, as all good sequels should do.
Yeah, well, it was specifically to play on the idea of it being a sequel, because I had no interest in making a sequel at the time.
No, most filmmakers are kind of a little bit wary of the whole sequel trilogy cash-in thing, aren't they? So
A bit, yeah. I mean, to be fair, when I was in film school, I did actually make a sequel to another film, but that was more due to the crew wanting a sequel rather than me saying, yeah, let's make another one. And I suppose this happened here. Filmonik audience, you know, wanted this sequel. And to be fair, at the time, I was thinking, yeah, I probably won't do it. I'll just say, yeah, I'll do it. But then when we won the Best Fiction award, I sort of thought, well, I should really do it now.
that was at the Best of Filmonik night.
It was,
yeah,
back in September.
So that, yeah, it was obviously an audience for it. So we'll check out the sequel. My Dad Made a Seagull.